Okay, so today we're going to be going over photosynthesis. Just not loading. Oh, cool. Okay, so photosynthesis is the process that lets plants and other photosynthetic organisms turn light energy from the sun into the chemical energy stored in organic molecules like sugar, glucose. Chlor so chloroplasts are what drive photosynthesis. Right? If you don't have chloroplasts, then you can't undergo photosynthesis. And then there's autotrophs and heterotrophs. Can someone tell me what the difference is between the two?
Adults make their own food.
Uh yeah. So autotroph, auto self, they make their own food while they have to get food from other sources. So autotrophs is going to be like photosynthetic organisms, while heterotrophs is going to be like you eat other stuff like herbivores, carnivores, all that stuff. So photoautotrophs, light autotrophs, they use light energy to drive the synthesis of organic molecules from carbon dioxide and usually water, and they feed themselves and the entire living world because they're the base of, herbivores and then carnivores, and that keeps going up. So here's the basic equation for photosynthesis. Right, C 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus light energy yields glucose C6H12O6 plus 6 O2. And then you guys might have seen this before. It's you can see it as the opposite of cellular respiration, right? Cellular respiration takes in oxygen and uses glucose and then forms water and carbon dioxide, while photosynthesis reverses that. You can see here. So here's a cool little diagram of where the different should probably turn on the laser pointer out. Cool. Um Here it shows you where the different atoms go through photosynthesis, right? So here the oxygen in water goes into oxygen gas, the oxygen in carbon dioxide goes into water, so on and so forth.
You're
Um
not sharing your screen.
I'm bugging, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, my bad, my bad. Sorry, guys. But yeah, this is the first slide. You guys got this. So yeah, as I was saying, um, here you can see where the different atoms from the reactants of photosynthesis go into the products, and then um, these products are then used in mitochondria to form ATP through cellular respiration, as we learned last lesson. And then here photosynthesis reverses the direction of electron flow. Um, hold up. Water is split by the light energy, and the electrons are transferred along the hydrogen ions to form carbon dioxide, and that reduces it to a sugar. See here the diagram. Reduction just means that oxidation means that you're losing electrons, and reduction means that you're gaining electrons. That's really all I need to know about that. And then the electrons increase in potential energy as they move from water to sugar, right? This requires energy, so it's energonic, as in, it requires energy. And then this energy boost is provided by the light energy that you guys saw. So here's a diagram of the chloroplast. So you have you have your stroma. That's like the fluid, right, between these little stacks and the membrane. It's basically like your cytoplasm in a cell or the matrix in a mitochondrion. So granum, you can see here, they're like these entire stacks of pancakes, basically. Um, and then the individual ones are called thylakoids. The thylakoid space is space in the inside of the thylakoid. And then the membrane can be split into three different layers. The outer membrane, the intermembrane space just between the two layers, and the inner membrane. And my mouse is disconnected. Never mind. Yeah. So there are two main stages of photosynthesis. Right, so one are the light reactions, and these take in the these take place in the thylakoid membranes of chloroplast, right here. This is where light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll and other pigments, but mainly chlorophyll. And this excites electrons and helps split water. And that provides electrons that get passed to NADP plus to form NADPH. And you guys might, it looks a lot like NADH, the electron carrier that we've seen before in cellular respiration. They sound similar, but they are not the same and should not be confused. A way to remember this is just P for photosynthesis. So yeah. The light reactions, they also generate ATP through chemiosmosis. We learned about that in the cellular respiration lesson. And then this produces the energy carriers NADPH and ATP to power the next stage, which is the Calvin cycle. So this is also called the dark reactions because it doesn't require light to occur. It occurs in the stroma of the chloroplasts and then uses the NADPH and ATP from the light reactions. And it fixes carbon dioxides into three carbon sugars. And then this requires the enzyme Rubisco, which is short for something that you need to remember. And then the three carbon sugars are then converted into organic molecules like glucose. So here's a nice diagram of what goes on. Um, So you can see here are the light reactions. So here you have the light and water coming in. And again, that light splits the light splits the water. And then the light reactions form NADPH and ATP. This gets transferred over to the Calvin cycle here, which you can see doesn't need light. It takes in carbon dioxide and then it does a whole bunch of stuff. And it at the end of it all, it produces starch as a storage molecule, sucrose, which is then exported, and then also gives back to the light reactions NADP plus and ADP as well as a phosphate group. Um, so the light reactions involve two different photosystems, photosystems one and two. The photosystem two is actually first, which is kind of weird, but they were named in the order of discovery. Yeah, photosystem one was discovered before photosystem two, even though the order isn't that way. And these are basically just the pathways that go on in the light reactions to help split that water. And then the light reactions, as we saw, produce ATP and NADPH, and then they release oxygen as a byproduct from the splitting of water, as we saw here. Um, and then also produces ATP and NADPH for the Calvin cycle. You guys have any questions so far? Or are we good? All right, cool. So here's an overview of the two different photosystems in the light reactions. So photosystem one absorbs light energy by chlorophyll P700 and what am energized electrons are passed to NADP plus reductase. And this reduces NADPH by adding electrons as well as H plus, the H plus ion to NADP plus. Here's a nice little diagram. So here we have the light, the photons coming in. They're absorbed by the special pair, which is P700, or in photosystem 2, P680. Then the energy keeps getting transferred, right, through these light harvesting complexes. And then that's where it deposits an electron into the primary electron acceptor. You can see here photosystem 2, it varies, it differs with photosystem 1. So it uses chlorophyll P680 to absorb light energy, and it transfers energized electrons via the electron transport chain. And this is the photosystem that splits water, which releases electrons, H plus ions, and oxygen gas. And then yeah, it's just another visualization of a photosystem. So here's a broader view of the photosystems. So you can see here, this is a representation of the light reactions. what happens here is that light goes into photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. In photosystem 2, you can see here that it splits water, forming oxygen as a byproduct, as well as H plus ions and electrons. Yeah, right here. Then these electrons flow through all of this, P, Q, and PC, plastoquinone and plastocyanine. You guys already know that. But it's basically just a transfer of electrons to photosystem 1. And then this cytochrome complex here is basically an in between the two. So in photosystem 1 here, it takes the electrons from photosystem 1 as well as light energy, um which then produces NADPH, which goes to NADPH reductase. NADP plus. And then NADP plus reductase adds a hydrogen ion to form NADPH, which goes to the Calvin cycle. And this oxygen here, as well as some of the
Power
hydrogen.
beats connect to
What? Okay. So anyway, the hydrogen ions made during photosystem 2, they're going to go over here to ATP synthase, which similarly to the process in cellular respiration, it's going to attach a phosphate group to ADP, um, and it makes ATP through, the proton gradient that we learned before. And then all this goes in a Calvin cycle to power it. So the electron transfer chain, the electrons are passed from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1 through this little series here. And then this energy release moves H plus ions from the stroma to the thylakoid space, and then this creates a hydrogen ion gradient across the thylakoid membrane, which helps power this ATP synthesis. Yeah. So as H plus ions diffuse through the ATP synthase, it kind of acts as like a water mill. Have you guys seen those? So the H plus ions are basically the water, and you can imagine the ATP synthase, turning because of the movement of H plus ions, and that produces ATP. Okay. Does have any questions? We're good? Okay.
What's the stroma?
The stroma. Yeah. So the stroma is
Yeah.
it's basically the cytoplasm of the chloroplast. You can think about it that way. It's just basically the space where there isn't stuff like the granum taking up space. And obviously it's not in the membrane. Any
Okay.
other questions? All right, cool. Now we're gonna look at the Calvin. I love calling Calvin. Okay. So you guys just learned about the light reactions. And here are the dark reactions, also called the Calvin cycle, if it lets. Okay. So here's a little diagram of the Calvin cycle. Um, so here's the light reactions that we learned about. So the Calvin cycle takes in carbon dioxide, as well as the products of the light reactions to form a sugar and to ADP and NADP plus, which is sent back to the light reactions. So here, carbon atoms from carbon dioxide are fixed to build three carbon sugars, and this is fueled by the ATP and NADPH from the light reactions. And again, this takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Yeah. This is a wee bit complicated, but the gist here is that Rubisco is, helping fix Rubisco is fixing carbon dioxide into that three carbon sugar that we're talking about. And then here is when ATP um uses its energy, turns into ADP. And then here's the reduction of NADPH, right? It's losing that hydrogen and it goes to make one G3P. It's basically just three carbon sugar. It goes to make glucose, while five are recycled. And here another three ATP are using their energy, depositing one of their phosphate groups. So they turn it into ADP again. Okay. So yeah, here's a summary of the Calvin cycle. So three carbon dioxide combined with three RuBP acceptors, which is you can see in Rubisco. It just basically just accepts the carbon dioxide in. That's why it's called an acceptor. Um, yeah, and it forms six molecules of G3P. It's just basically another sugar that does sugar things. One exits the cycle and starts making glucose, while five are recycled, which regenerates three RuBP acceptors here. While ATP, nine ATP are turned into nine ADP, six of them in this reduction step here of NADPH, and another three here in the regeneration. Yeah, and again, that NADPH is reduced to NDP plus. And it will take six turns of this cycle to produce one molecule of glucose. Because a G3P molecule is a three carbon sugar, so it's three carbons. So it would take two of them to make C6H12O6, which is glucose. You guys have any questions? It's kind of we good? Okay, cool. Um, just a quick overview. Let's see. Okay. Um, so can someone tell me where the light dependent reactions take place and where the Calvin cycle takes place?
The light-based reactions take place in the chloroplasts.
Well, yeah, but like where
Like how
specifically?
so?
The where?
Isn't it in the choroid membranes?
The thylakoid.
Oh, the thylakoids.
And then for the Calvin cycle, was it in the stroma?
In the stroma, yeah. Um, nice. So, okay. Can someone give me the overall reaction for photosynthesis? Um, it's basically the opposite of cellular
Carbon
respiration.
dioxide. No.
Huh? Yeah, go ahead.
Carbon dioxide plus sunlight and H2O turns into glucose and oxygen.
Nice, yeah. For a little bonus for you guys, how much of each? Like how much oxygen, how much carbon dioxide, all that stuff.
Uh, 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, and then that produces glucose and 6 oxygen. Wait,
Yeah,
wasn't it 3 carbon dioxide molecules?
six. Because we're making a
Oh,
six carbon sugar glucose, we're gonna need six carbon on the left side.
okay.
All right. So what are hmm, let's see. So which stage of photosynthesis produces ADP and NADP plus? Is it the Calvin cycle or the light dependent reactions?
Calvin cycle.
Nice. Okay, and what does the light dependent reaction produce?
NADPH and ATP.
Nice, yeah. Um, so yeah, you guys are looking pretty good. But here's a pretty important thing. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration, you can think of them as opposites, but don't don't think of that too hard, you know what I mean? Um, it looks obviously their equations is being absorbed or released, but it's not just a reversal of each other, since they each take place in their own series of steps. So like cellular respiration is its own process, photosynthesis is its own process. You can't like reverse this and get cellular respiration. Okay. And here's a question for you guys. Do plants have mitochondria? If they have chloroplasts, do they have mitochondria?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that's a common misconception that plants don't have mitochondria because they already have chloroplasts, but that's just not true. They still need to undergo cellular respiration to make ATP out of glucose that's produced. Nice job, guys. Um, okay. Just do a couple more practice questions, and I think we should be good. Okay. So which of the following best indicates that light reactions of photosynthesis have completed and that the Calvin cycle has begun? So think about what happens in the Calvin cycle, what are the products, and what are the products of the light reactions? And what would happen if the light reactions were done and Calvin cycle started?
Is it C?
ATP and NADPH accumulate in the stroma. Let's see. Yeah. Can somebody tell me why that's the right answer without looking at the thing? Think about it, right? If
Is
the light
the
reaction,
light reactions?
huh?
It's because the light reactions produce ATP and NADPH, so they would exit the thylakoid and begin to accumulate in the stroma for the Kalman.
Exactly. So, ADP and NADPH accumulate, right? And here's the kicker, the stroma, right? Which one takes place in the stroma?
Kalman cycle.
Calvin
Yeah,
cycle.
exactly. So, the ATP and NADPH from the light reactions are now going to the stroma to power the Calvin cycle. Nice job, guys. This is a weird question, but yeah, go ahead. So this stuff doesn't matter. Um, so basically, as the distance between the plant and the light source increases, it releases fewer oxygen bubbles. So what does this imply about light intensity and the production of photosynthetic products?
A.
A.
Yeah, exactly.
A.
Why?
Because you can see as the plant gets closer and closer to the light source, the amount of oxygen bubbles released is decreased, which in turn means the amount of byproducts in terms of oxygen gas is decreased as well. Wherever I said
Uh,
increased, I mean decreased.
yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's some good reasoning. Can someone give me like molecular reasoning on why more light would result in more photosynthetic products?
Light is one of the reactants, so the more reactants you have, the more products you would get.
Okay. And where is light taken in again?
Chloroplast.
The
Um,
thylakoid. But
okay, well, yeah, I was going for the light dependent reactions, but that works. Um, so light do in the light-dependent reactions? What is water's role?
Light's a reactant to create glucose, and ATP and oxygen is a byproduct.
Oxygen is a byproduct of what? Where does that oxygen come from?
Photosynthesis.
Bro.
Water.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
water,
the water
exactly.
that
The light is using its energy to split water, and that's what produces that oxygen. So as we have more light, it's splitting more water, which produces more oxygen. Yeah, what's up, Joanna?
It says that for the A, it says as light intensity decreases, the product of photosynthetic products decreases, but shouldn't the light intensity increase as it gets closer to the light source?
It says decreases. So if you're getting less light, it's going to produce less products. Because the
Oh, I
others
think
are,
I might have read it wrong.
yeah, yeah, you're good. But all right. Nice job, guys. If you guys don't have any more questions, guess we can end this meeting now.